Hi everyone, how you doing? It's been last couple of days, but I'm back again, and it's good to have you on the channel. And today was a an interesting continental tour. Uh, I want to unpack some of that stuff. Most definitely, that's important to talk about. We'll probably obviously have to start with the great Shericka Jackson in a second. What we saw looked like an injury scare. Some reports suggest that right now it might be somewhat of a cramped. It looked that way visually, but obviously you can't rule all of that stuff out until you do scans and so on. I don't know the details yet, but we want to touch on that for sure. Touch on Kishane Thompson. Want to talk a little bit about the Olympic champion over 400 meters as well, Stephen Gardner, and then even go back to Paris a little bit because Paris for me was very spectacular. Again, kind of drawing out the two world records and that amazing 800 meters that we saw as well. So lots of that. Definitely also make sure you get involved, put your questions, your comments in. It's your show tonight. It's a reaction. Anything you want to talk about, build up for the Olympics and so on. Monaco in the next few days. That's going to be exciting. The men's 400-meter hurdle is going to be crazy, obviously. So a number of things are on tap for tonight. I'll stick around as long as we can. And good to have you in the channel. Smash that like button, and let's get on. Let's get on. Right. So Shericka Jackson didn't look good right at first. I mean, anytime you see an athlete fail to complete a race, it's tough because and also a special athlete like this, the two-time reigning 200-meter world champion, a woman that has gone very close to breaking the world record. Clearly, better conditions, she may have gotten much closer. Who knows? Would have broken the world record. Kind of working into some shape there at the Jamaica National Championships, taking both 100 and 200-meter titles. And for someone who didn't really run a typical indoor season, he figured coming 9 or 10 days so after the national championships, you would be taking on a couple races just to get in prime shape, touch European soil again and get in prime shape for the Olympics. And the race looked like okay so far. Not a blistering curve by her when you looked at that, but she looked comfortable. She was leading the race, and then suddenly she stopped, and the kind of distress on her face made you wonder. She eventually walked across the finish line, which is always a good sign when athletes can do that, and as opposed to being carried off. And from the camera footage, it just didn't appear as if she needed any kind of immediate treatment, which when I saw that was really reassuring. But obviously, you don't know the nature of any injury or any time an athlete pulls up unless they go and figure it out. There's some reports suggesting that our physiotherapist is saying that it's just a cramp. Kind of look that way. I mean, but it's hard, from the naked eye, you don't know. I guess from the naked eye, that's one thing I could say, and I think most people would say, you could rule out a grade 3 hamstring injury because that's usually when you have close to or very, very much so a complete muscle tear. And whenever those things happen, you can go on YouTube and look. You'll see people rolling around and crying, and the pain is quite severe. So that for sure you don't know. Grade 1 or 2 is something sometimes hard to really assess from the naked eye. And if you're ever going to have anything beyond a cramp, then you really want something that is grade 1, which is usually much preferable. Uh, kind of a mild strain there most of the times, and that could tend to heal within a couple of days or a few weeks. And now they're saying it's more of a cramp, and so that really is a bit of a relief. But still, you never know. You have to work that through. I don't know how they diagnosed it, if they did a scan as well, because sometimes you may have these injuries, but a scan shows up partial tears or some other kind of strains there. But I suspect they may have done that. But we'll see. True, what's going on? Good to have you. No, there's no meet right now. Uh, thanks for listening. Yeah, the meet happened today in Hungary, and I just wanted to come on and do a reaction. I didn't get a chance to go live and watch along with it today, so this is my take on it. And starting off with obviously the injury to Shericka Jackson, which is never a good sign when you see athletes pulling up, but from all the indications right now, it seems more of a cramp, and that is really good news. Hopefully, that means she won't have any setbacks. Because even if you had a grade one, you could end up with a 1 week setback or so, and or even something more severe can set you back a couple of weeks. But the Olympics is around the corner. Early August, we were talking about a track and field component of the Olympics. And even if you had some setback, that will also impact the kind of shape you end up at the Olympics in. And so for it to be just a cramp, and we're hoping that's the case, then that's good news. And hopefully they'll sort that out and move forward, because again, you hate to see the top athletes miss out if for injury or not being at their best. Obviously, it's part of the sport, but but were if she were to suffer some serious setbacks, then clearly the direction of the 200-meter medal is in question, and a lot of other things would be in question. And that's very unkind in an Olympic year for anybody. Obviously, we know a lot of top athletes are missing already. You think about the likes of a Yulimar Rojas, who won't be there because of the Achilles injury. Jasmine Sawyers from Great Britain. There is people with misfortune as well, like I think Mo, who won't be running 800 meters for miscalculating in a race, in terms of being strong enough to cut over or just hanging back. All of these things happen. Or you look at the athletes and who miss out from an individual spot because the championships are so tough. And that's the kind of a harsh reality when you think about the sport of track and field, and individual sports in general. When it matters most with a one race or so that can determine whether or not you'll have a spectacular season or not. So that's the tough part. Yeah. Uh, Truth is also saying, I've always said nothing in athletics is guaranteed to anyone. I hope she's healthy. Yeah, it is. It's. I think athletics is, really one of the most unforgiving sports when you think about it, because especially in an Olympic year, that only comes around every 4 years. And what it depends on your age, your cycle. So you miss one of those, you have to wait 4 years. Missing a world championships now is a little bit easier than in previous times. There's a moment where the world championships was much farther away. And, now it's like every 2 years, almost every year now we're getting a world championships given the last few cycles. So you can almost make up for that. It's hard to make up for an Olympics. And sometimes individual sports are very unforgiving, but things like tennis can be unforgiving as a sport too. You lose one, you have a one bad thing and you're out for a tournament. But there's usually four Grand Slams and other major events, and they happen every year. So that's the bad part for Olympians. You miss this Olympics, you may never get back to it. So that's the tough thing. But it seems, based on what we're hearing right now, that she should be okay. But that, I mean, since we're on the 200 meters, we should just shout out to Julian Alfred. Obviously, she in the end won the race in a time of 22.16, which I believe is equaling our season best time. Daryl Nita a little bit back, 22:36, and Lene Teva Thomas also, who will be representing Jamaica as well over the flat 200 meters in 22:54, ahead of Natasha Morrison. And I think Jackson would have won. I mean, it looked, I suspect, she could have gone very close to 22 meters flat, or even dipping below. It wasn't the smoothest of Jackson race up to that point, but she looked comfortable. And so, yeah, but shout out to Julian Alfred, who, as we know, first year strictly out of college. So managing that season is really a good thing. I think they're doing, their coach Flo in particular, and she hasn't been on the circuit much. And I think everything is geared towards Julian getting to the Olympics in fine shape. I suspect that I don't. I think she should be on the medal podium, at least in the in something. I don't think she's gonna miss out. I think she might be really an intriguing athlete there going into the Olympics. So yeah, all right, so I want to talk about, yeah, so that's the interesting thing. Let me stick with 200 meters before I go to 100 meters. And Andre de Grasse as well in the men's 200 meters look really good. I mean, de Grasse is is getting into good shape, going sub 20 seconds, 1998 into a 0.5 win. ahead of the Jamaican Andrew Hudson, quite comfortably beating him as well. DeGrasse is one of those kind of special athletes that always shows up at the championships. The last couple of years, not so much. Particularly, we know he was having different types of sickness and illnesses, and I guess some kind of personal stuff, which all seems to be sorted. And so for him, he's one of those sleeper people where you can't turn your eye away. I know it's a few cycles later now, obviously going into another Olympics here, but he can get in if he gets into great shape. You never know. He could muscle his way on a medal podium. I'm not sure that will happen, but Andre DeGrasse is one of those special athletes that you don't want to sleep on. He has the experience. He's done it at the big stage a number of occasions, and you can't count out individuals like that, for sure. So that was a good race from him too, just to get back into it. But I want to turn attention, obviously, now to the 100 meters because we've got to talk about a guy that I think most people think, I mean, he's the most talked about athlete on the planet right now over 100 meters, and that's Kishane Thompson. And he's clearly continued his impressive form this season. He's winning 100 meters against the likes of Alessili Tebogo, Akini Sambini. Those two are really top class athletes. In particular, Sambini, I don't think lost any race this season, or maybe if he did, maybe one. But he's really formidable competition there as well. Tebogo kind of stepping back on the track in recent times, especially since the passing of his mother. But all people who are they're experienced enough. I mean, Tebogo is a young athlete, but obviously he's been at major championships as well and finding his way on podiums. So, but Thompson is just really special, right? That 991 today again was really easy. He was checking to his left to see where Tebogo was. He was looking to his right to see where Sambini was, and he made those guys look really ordinary today. And he got out very aggressive, really good start. Again, you start to look at him, and if you shut your eyes, you think you see a little bit of Asafa Powell in him. Not quite the greatest of execution yet at the start, but not really far off either. And the drive that guy has right now is just like interesting. He's like the lift on his legs is second to none as far as I can see. When you look at it, if you slow it down a bit, you see how it's just kind of majestic, kind of sprinting back, powerful sprinting. And he didn't push hard again, right? He got out, and once he got into acceleration, start to approach a kind of good top end speed there. He's clearly ahead of everybody. No one left him at the start either, in any substantial way. He was probably out better than everybody else, at least. Maybe not reaction time, but somewhere there. I have to check the reaction times again. But he looks really good, and I like what I'm seeing there. I think very special talent, obviously. Probably would have made more progress had it not for being injuries. But what we're seeing is this is 4 sub 10 in a row now. If we're calculating, he did that 3 over the Jamaican National Championships, come to Europe, and he drops that 991 easy as you like. You look at that and you know it's an easy 9.8 there, and he's not working hard. He's clearly in good shape, and it's hard for increasingly he's probably turning a lot of heads, and I think we might be looking at the Olympic champion here. It's still early to call, but what we've seen so far, the evidence suggests that if he's fit and healthy and he gets the kind of execution the right way, I don't think you're going to beat him. I probably feel like I can go out on a limb and say this right now, because he's really, really right there. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you. And St. Clair, what's going on? I think Civil might sneak up on him come the Olympics. I also think Oblique Civil is in great shape. I don't think he delivered his best form at the Jamaican National Championships as well. How far Civil can go, I'm not quite sure. I think Civil has 9.7 in those legs. I think 917. I think he could go 977 this season. Yeah. Is that enough? I don't think so. I think there may be more. I think there's a lot more from Thompson. Uh, it's hard to dish out times. Right now, I think Thompson is in really good 9-7 shape right now, and he could go below that for sure. So that's a hard call. We haven't seen times like that for ages, obviously. So we will see. And at least the good thing that I thought about both Civil, since you brought up Oblique Civil, his performance and also the performance of Thompson was the idea there that they were able to, within the period of time, go back to back with some decent fast times, right? And that's important because what it will be tough to get into a final at the Olympics for some, and a lot of guys are going to run their life to get into a final, and then you have to repeat in a 90-minute time frame, and if you're not in that kind of top shape, it could be problematic. Cheryl is saying no one beating Noah. Noah. I from a pure sprinting standpoint, I think Noah is going to hold his hand up, and a lot of people, you have to respect him. He's the reigning world champion. But beyond that, too, I think Lyles is just one of those guys who don't believe you can beat him, and that's really a tough, an important thing in sport when you have that kind of steely resolve, and there's not many people out there that have that better than Noah Lyles. How fast he can go, I don't know, right? That is an interesting thing. He's gotten to these PBs this year, and these other couple guys look like they're much better than that. What state Noah was in at the U.S. Championships is still slightly unknown. I mean, I don't know I don't think he was at his very, very best. He didn't need to be at his very, very best. But I know he really is concerned about 100 a lot because of they don't always execute the right way, and he has to really, if he doesn't get the first few phases right, it's a lot of work for him to get back into it. But you're saying 968 in Paris. 968 in Paris might be tough for anybody. I just, yeah, I mean, the conditions that in Paris would have to be really good. I just don't think you're gonna get the wind we expect. I could be wrong. I'm betting on this. We're supposed to drop a video soon. Whenever that's ready, we'll do it. Where I'm just betting that all these hype on Mondo tracks and all, it will not be. It's not going to provide as spectacular stuff as we might expect. That's my take. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong on it too. But the Stade de France is just, it's like a spaceship that has no really open sections there. To run 968, I think these guys are looking at needing a 1.5 or so. And I just don't know if you'll get that in Paris. You hardly see any kind of winds like that ever. Most of the time, the winds in Paris are hovering, at least in the Stade de France, not Paris in general, because Paris, there's multiple places that you can run in Paris, like the Diamond League was at a different place. But in the Stade de France, if you go back to 2003, it's negligible winds. We're looking at things very close to near zeros, right? A little bit above, a little bit below, but nothing hugely in the direction of helping athletes to run appreciable, really great times. Could be wrong, but that's the evidence I have on it from previous World Championships, and I've seen the stadium in person, been inside of it recently as Mondo was finalizing the track, and the track is great. It's this fantastic piece of a thing. I have a piece of it as well, but I don't know if it would provide that. Obviously, athletes will go to the World Championships in some really good shape, and it might need a 968 if you're gonna beat Thompson, I would say. Can he do it? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. it would be interesting. It would be cool to see a 968 run, but we're talking about really top class. That's a top class time, right? People don't really run those times at major championships unless your name is Usain Bolt, right? It's just it's not a thing. So I don't know if I would bet against it, but or I wouldn't. I don't bet in it anyway, but I would be hesitant to think if he can pull that off. At least in Noah, at least, yeah. I don't know. But I will say, I mean, like, if we're being honest with ourselves, what we're seeing from the Thompson kid, unless he gets to the Olympics and all of a sudden he has a, a mental kind of a thing, which can happen because it's your first major championships, the entire world is watching you. That could also provide negative type of stuff on your performance. And a guy like Elias have been at major championships before and so on. So, but I just don't see. I think Kishen is the guy to beat right now. He looks really good, and he's just he's looking good from a number of things that excite people who watch the sport. That's the thing. Or Debbie, no one can beat Kishen at the moment, and that's how I'm feeling too, Debbie. To be honest with you, because you're looking at a guy that has tremendous power. The lift. You see how high those legs? How he's dragging the legs in a. It's just like he's not running hard. I mean, I know sometimes you can have these optical illusions when you run, but there's a lot left there. There is a lot where he will, if he holds that right and comes out of the blocks and starts to power, I don't care who you are, you're not catching him. And I think the first part of his race is really exciting too. So you're not separating from him in any significant way. What I would have loved to see is a Christian Coleman again, just to, if they were to run a race or two, just to see if a guy like Coleman could separate early. And I just don't know if that's the case. Yeah. You thought he ran his heart out today, Cheryl? I won't be. Maybe we're watching the wrong races here. I mean, I would urge you to go back and look at that. The guy was checking left and right. There's no way he was running his heart out. I mean, I think today, if he wasn't checking and he held that would have been a 986 easy today. Could have been. I just don't think. I think there's a lot left in the tank there. Yeah, a lot left in the tank. Debbie, Jamaica will sweep. 100 meters, men. I can't see, Debbie. That might be hard. That might be hard. I could see 1-2. I think Oblique could, if he really gets it together, he could separate themselves. But I don't know if Akeem can. I, I think you want to be in a 981 or 981 is shape to guarantee to hope to be on a medal podium. You don't have to run that maybe, but depending on conditions. But I don't know. I don't. Uh, no one can beat Kishen is unstoppable. Yeah. Yeah. Right now, I don't think you can beat him for sure. 100 meters. I don't think Jamaica can sweep the 100 meters. I mean, not right now. I think it's possible, but I don't think. Oh yeah, okay. Uh, I don't think the U.S. women. I'll reserve on this, but I don't think they can sweep either. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it's still early. It's hard to. I'll do some previews on this. I'll think more about it. We're gonna do some preview shows coming up for sure. But I think it's hard to see Richardson not on the podium, unless something out of the ordinary happens. And I suspect if Jackson's really fit and healthy, uh, you know, who knows what Tia Clayton might do. She looking good, and she was looking really good, and she's a young talent. And then Fraser Price, Fraser Price only came to the championships just to get on the team there. So I think there's a lot more to be there. And Fraser Price is one of those steely characters too. It's hard that we're saying this about a 30-year-old woman, but she's the greatest ever we've ever seen a career over 100 meters. There's nobody ever had that kind of career, man or woman, basically, in terms of the medal hauls and all that stuff, the longevity. I was she's a ridiculous athlete. She could find a way on it, but I think the U.S. women they would feel really good about what they would want to deliver in Paris. But I also think Julian Alfred is going to be there. It's hard, you know. I think it's going to be harder than it looks. Uh, yeah, but we'll get to that. Uh, that's a tough one though. I mean, I would love it. I would love to see it. I would definitely love to see it. But yeah. This is this is Debbie. This is in reference to Cheryl's comment because I think he wasn't running at all. He was basically looking left, right. You know, yeah. Uh, the same people on the podium last season will be different. Or that I mean, I hope so. Yeah, yeah. Shericka is not out of Paris, Cheryl. She as far as unless you're just breaking this news, but since we got on the live, I think she's fine. I mean, apart it looked like a cramp. It seems they're reporting a cramp. I don't know if they've done a scan because even when you have cramps, from what I understand, you still do a scan. Sometimes it could be a grade 1, but I hope it's not the case. We'll see. We will see. Yeah, we shall see. But yeah, that's a good thing. Don't forget to keep those comments coming, keep the likes coming. I see a bunch of people on the live. Thank you for joining me tonight. And if you haven't hit the like button yet, you should do that. That makes sense. Yeah. So that those are some really good stuff there today at the at yeah. Just quickly since we're on 100 meters, Tamara Davis looked good, running 11 flat into a minus into a headwind. Thea Clayton was closing at the end, just didn't have the kind of start at this, but 11:06, really good still. I think she could cause some damage in the Olympics. You just never know. It's a Stevens Francis led athlete. You can't count that stuff out. Crystal Slowly, probably disappointed not making Jamaica national team, but I think she has a big prospect, bright future ahead. In third in 11:15, and then Natasha Morrison and the New Zealander Zoe Hobbs finishing fifth. But Davis looked really good. Good close, I thought, by Clayton. Just didn't have enough today to get that. Let's get here. Go back, look at Jackson's from. Yeah, I mean, she started late. There are some things she pulled out a few things. She wasn't in the kind of shape. That is true. We're not disputing that, and I think they didn't run indoors either. And Jackson in the past has done some of those things. And yeah, she and she made it to the Jamaica National Championships. Did enough there. I mean, they're dealing with something, dealing with something. I think we'll see. We will see. I hope she can recover from this really quickly, whether it's a strain or what, and get some good training in leading to the Olympics, and we'll see what we get. We'll know once the 100-meter lines up, and we'll get a sense of that. What's going on, Brian? Good to see you. You have not seen the races as yet. Yeah. Flow Track has them. I think you may be able to see them on there. They have the rights in the States. I don't know where you are, but I think people have been posting them online. But I watch it. I have the subscription to Flow Track for the continental stuff, and I think you can rewatch the meet there if you want. But there have been some races there, but I think it's all over the internet. You know what people do already. Yeah. So I think you could be fine. I think you'll be intrigued by the 100 meters for sure. Yeah. RDD Crystal Stone not as impressive as advertised. I mean, I did see the comments from the coach earlier this season. I think uh, talent-wise, I think she has something there. I think she could come good eventually. It just didn't work out this time. And there's also talks of her, because of she's still studying, not getting the kind of requisite training that they would always want. But I think the future is bright for her. There's a world. She's young. World Championships next year. There's changing of the guard, obviously happening in Jamaica too, and with Shelley and Fraser Price is leaving the scene after this year, so that's one spot opening up. So I'm not worried yet. To be honest with you, I'm not worried yet. Debbie, it's a good thing this happened to Shericka. No, not that. Yeah, wish it never happened, obviously, but yeah, wish it never happened. Yeah. I just wanna yeah, I just really hope that it's just a cramp, as they're saying. It looked that way, and we'll see what happens. Uh, RDD, I've been saying, do not expect SG to be four years straight since 21 to 20. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it happens too. I mean, and she's getting older, not that old yet, but and she's been running a lot the last few years, at least really close to some big times, right? A lot of 21 fours. We forget how difficult that is. Those are stratospheres that people don't get to. And, outside of the FloJo world record, she's the standard, right? In terms of times. And she's been very close. Very unfortunate, too, when you look at the times when she ran those 21 fours. Not a lot of aid from the win. And you need that if you're going to get closer to that record. But, you know, I hope she can, get into the right shape and hopefully she'll be fine. I mean, she's experienced enough that if it's just managing stuff, I suspect she might be fine. Yeah. Told Brian is saying told people slowly got a flyer in 1099 race. Don't expect much from her in the Jamaica Championships. Yeah, she's. I think you're right. I remember you probably said this on a live too earlier. I think she's. I, I still didn't expect the Clintons to do anything this year, and one of them are on the team. One of them have already run a ridiculous time, and usually the one that you don't expect. So they're young, right? And I think they're young. Slowly is obviously older, but she's still in a very young category, and I think she's one for the future. If she loves the sport, there's no doubt in my mind that she should be making teams in the future and running really great times. This is just not the year, at least to get to the Olympics. Who knows what can happen post Olympics? There is still a bunch of races on the circuit. You can start getting into that. Cheryl, believe me, her season ended next year again. Hope she can recover by then. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I doubt that. I mean, I will see. I don't have any inside information yet. Yeah. Debbie, these jump women are warriors. They certainly are. Yeah. Brian, as long as Kishan stays healthy and don't false start, the Americans have no chance at the Olympics. No, I might not even medal because I think Curly will come good in Paris. No, I think uh the it's gonna be hard to medal for sure. I think we should also not count out even the Olympic champion. He's coming back. He just hasn't put together the race that we want to see. His body's gone sub 10 a couple. Is it two times already? Maybe one. I can't remember. But he is. I wouldn't put him out. Count him out. I still think the likes of a Let's See Tobago could do something. Uh, it's. I don't think it's very. Outside of to be honest with you, outside of a great if Oblique can get a race really good and run to his best of his ability, I think he gets onto the podium. And if once Thompson's executes the right way and he's healthy, I don't think anybody is beating him, because I think the guy can run 9.7 already, like 9.70 right now. Like, I think we've seen enough in the last couple of days to say that he's definitely 9.7 shape, very low 9.7 shape. Whether you can pull it off the right time is a different story, but I think he's in that kind of shape. There's no question to me. And it's possibly could even go below that. And we haven't seen times like that forever. I think he can really shoot up there because he's like a machine right now. And you see traits about Safa Powell sprint technique, not as clean as Powell yet, but that's a different level of sprinting technique. It's probably one of the best you'll ever see. Just never happened at the major games the way you want it to. But that wasn't that wasn't because he wasn't fast or he didn't have the kind of the ability. It was for other reasons. So I think if he gets it, he should be fine. Let me get back to some more of these comments. Don't forget, I don't think SG was close to 21:34. At least not close than what? Uh RDD, you know that the 21.4s are like a meter on the 21.5s that five that Elaine did in Tokyo. I think she was on course to break that world record for sure. Had if stuff never happened, I think with the right conditions she would have destroyed. I think she would have broken the record. Everybody know this is not news, I guess. I mean, I think if Elaine hadn't gotten injured again and she didn't probably switch around world championships. If you think about it, the world championships that happened in Oregon the year after the Olympics in 22, I think she could have gone there and destroyed the world record. It's hard to break that world record after rounds too, but I think she could have. I think she could have gone really. I think Elaine would have probably gone 10-4, and I'm probably a 21-3 for sure. But no, I don't think it will happen because there's a lot of injuries there, and she's not getting younger, and to put the kind of work in for the body to get to that level is just it's hard. So I mean the best you hope for Elaine now is to get back fit and maybe can potentially run. It's interesting, I saw the Stephen Francis interview where he's saying he thinks she should go away, and for many years, every time if you guys are following me for a while, I always said she should have gone to John Smith or gone to I mean, a lot of people don't like this, but I think it would have worked out perfectly for sure. But if she had gone to Bobby Kersey ever since she left Steven the first time, I think she would have been okay. Yeah, but we were just hashing over stuff. I just hope she finds the kind of form that she needs to kind of finish out the career. But I think the world records are over. I don't think she can get back close to those type of times because the kind of injuries that she suffers with, it's hard, like, and especially if it's really dangerous, like if not dangerous, but if it's like if you rupture an Achilles or if it's very close to that, there's not a lot you can the body can do. She may have to quit doing both events at some point, but I don't know. Yeah. I mean, she has great form. I get what you're saying, Brian. True, Jacobs coming good now too. Yeah. I think the pressure is off Oblique, and now Kishen has emerged, so he can relax and let his talent come through without the pressure from Jamaican fans. Yeah, and it's a good. You raise an interesting thing there. I don't know how he internalized that. The one way I look at an Oblique Seville, I said, look, when he broke onto the scene or he got out, he went to the semifinals of the Olympics. Then he gets to 2 World Championships finals back to back, and he finishes fourth. Outside the medals, probably should have gotten medals. At least the last one, Zarnel got in as well. I don't know if he's internalizing that, but if we take a step back and look at his age, I think it's okay, right? But I think this is the year that he has to strike. This is his moment to get on the podium, right? Or he has to deliver his best race in the final. And so what I liked was the ability to run those 10-8s, the 9-8s rather. And if he can get into the final and deliver a super race, then he can walk away feeling good about it. I think his best race, he doesn't win the gold medal, but it should be silver. If Thompson delivers his best race, then I think it's all over for everybody. But I think oblique should say we should try for this 1-2 for sure. And I mean, he should try for the gold medal. Obviously, that's what you're trying to run. But if he delivers the way he can, I suspect he should be fine. But what you don't want happening is to run a fantastic semifinal, a 985 or whatever it might take to get in, hypothetically, and then you come back and run like a 991 in the final. That's not a good idea. That's not what you want to see. So I think it has to go really, really in some interesting spaces for him to think deep about, this is my moment. This is the perfect Olympics for him. Strike here, and the medal halls can start to come in the future, because he's aging at the right cycle now. Debbie, if they put Civil in the same field with Marcel Jacobs in the semifinal round, Marcel won't make the finals. Yeah, it'll be tough. I mean, I think to get in the final is going to be hard. Some guys have to run well, and that's why this is where the execution sprinters have to go hard. So if you don't get, this is where, let me take that back. If you don't execute well, you're in problems. So like if Lyles gets to one of his worst starts, he may be out of it, or he has to run super hard to get back in. So the guys who can execute well are the ones who should be okay. We saw Fred Curley breaking his neck a couple of times just to make it through the U.S. Championships. Those are some interesting kind of things you don't want happening at the Olympics, right? You want to be delivering perfect races as best as you can. Persons are talking about Kishan breaking Bo's record, but 950 is about 10 feet from 977. Do you think he? Let me take out my glasses. Nobody is breaking that record. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. He shouldn't even be thinking about it. He should be thinking about trying to win a gold medal. And however fast he needs to run as fast as he can. 958 is different class. Different class. I don't even want to discuss that type of stuff. There's no evidence for that. Try to run 9.6 first or something like that. It's not even. Yeah, I can't. Yeah. That is not even anywhere. That it's not even the picture. If you ran 970, they would not be in the picture in the 958. It's just not even in the. Yeah, it's outrageous. Yeah, not right now. Don't get a gold medal. Don't think about no. People should not be thinking about those records. I know a lot of people want to think about those records. I also will go back on record and say Lyles is the closest to the boat 200-meter record, if anybody can get there. But I just still don't think he can. I think All in the Game had pointed out something the other day on the lives. Since Noah started to double, he has not gone faster than like 19.5 in the 200 or something like that. It's hard. It's very hard. And to double is not is not even easy. The distance between Bo's 200-meter record and the 1930 or whatever he ran, 1931, is miles. That's like probably 3 meters or something like that. And first, I think him himself shouldn't be thinking about the record. Try to go after Johan's 1926 if that's what you want to do. And even if he were to break, I think it's the softer of the two records. I said it a number of occasions. I think Bolt could have run 19 flat. Probably could have gone sub 19, which just seems crazy. But sometimes you don't. If no one's pushing you, you don't need to do it. It doesn't happen. But regardless, if you think about how Bolt run that 200 meter in Berlin, it's after rounds in the 100 meters, rounds in the 200 meters. They don't run it that as many rounds now. It's remarkable. So don't, they should not think about these things. It's just like, I don't know. I don't want to go off on her. I don't think any of those records will be broken. I definitely don't see the 200 meter record being broken. If that happens, then I mean, I need to get lot of numbers from all these people making that prediction. Uh, where are we? I'm not even. People should take a chill pill. Yeah, I agree. Uh, you think she peaked last year? Could be. We'll have to see. The aim for Kishan is to get that goal. Yeah, not the record. I agree. There's no records are nice. They add to the thing. But what we must always remember in sports, especially my judgment on it, a lot of people judge it this way, is the quality of the medals that you can deliver. Because sports is hard to compare across eras too. I know we like to sit down and say who has been the greatest and all of that kind of stuff. Like I'll sit here and tell you to this day that Edward Moses is the greatest 400-meter hurdler I've ever seen and we've ever seen. If you go back and look at it, the guy has never gone on the 47 seconds. So it's hard to compare across eras. We're talking about different track. We're talking about, even when we move from cinder to synthetic track, those tracks are different in 1990 to now. The Atlanta track in 96 is like night and day to what you'll see in Paris. But it's just not a so that's why I think you stack up the medals, you stack up the accolades. The record comes, it comes, but it's like I always say to people, like, to me, the greatest 100-meter champion from the United States, still to me, is Evelyn Ashford. That's how I see it. Not even Flojo. I put Gail over Flojo. I put Wyoming Tyus. But that's different era too, right? So it's like clutching for different types of stuff. So it's hard, hard to make that kind of thing. Brian, I think people should just go watch Usain Bolt records, then they'll see how hard it is. Yeah. And there were 4 rounds. It's not just different rounds structure this year. Forget about the distance between first and second. Yeah. Uh yeah, so it's a different thing. What's going on, Shamar? Good to have you on. Yeah, I've seen the team. I haven't looked at everything. Um, it did the Miller kid didn't make it, right? I mean, which is interesting. I have to go back and look at it. I have to go back and look at it. Yeah, yeah. I also think Evelyn's record. So I know a lot of people don't like Flojo for a number of reasons. I I don't want to get into that. What I will say, and I'll continue to say this until I have no more breath in me, is that the 100-meter world record is not a thing. That was a hurricane in Indianapolis, literal hurricane. There was a IAAF study on it. World Athletics now, they didn't do it. They know, and it's still there. That's not that. There's no way. And you could look at all the other stuff that was happening, the jumping. You see that it was a hurricane. So I don't bite. And I think Evelyn's record would have lasted so much longer if I would have thought about her slightly different too as well. But it is what it is. It's like if it were up to me, a bunch of those records from the 80s would have gone to from the old GDR records. It's you ever look at the top 20 shot putters of all time in women? Just there's some crazy stuff that happened in the sport that is just would need to change, but it won't for different reasons. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, Evelyn is different level, and I mean, there's some great, great, great. The Tiger Bell women. Obviously Wyoming Tyus. There's all those interesting kind of stuff that we can get into. But yeah, good to have you guys on the live. Make sure you hit that like button. It's not a lot of people liking the video. We always want to see that. I want to So yeah, I want to talk. Let me talk about Stephen Gardner because I've been waiting on this 400 meters for a bit, and we can talk about Stephen. And I want to say something about him here. And we can also talk. Just make sure I'll be live for Monaco on Friday. I'll be doing a little live tomorrow on cricket, maybe after lunch of the first Test match with West Indies in England there at Lords, but track and field tonight. So I want to say something about Stephen Gardner a little bit because I've been trying to wait to see where this 400 meters is gonna kind of get out. Let me get to some comments before this. How you doing, Dorian? Good evening. Thanks for jumping on. Hopefully you're well. Ryan, Flojo was in good shape for, I guess you mean 20th, where there was no dispute about the time or condition. So the 10 is not too far. Well, I mean, I know people are saying that, but this isn't. I mean, when she got to Seoul, it was different, right? I mean, I think people say that a lot. I just think it was. It, there's no way there was no win reading. There's just no way, right? But it won't change. I get it. It will eventually. The record will be broken. I think. I don't know when that's the case, or maybe it won't, because sometimes you touch ceilings in sport where you just can't get over it. I don't know. I really don't know. Uh, the it will take forever for us to know. At some point, we'll get to a pole vault ceiling. I think Mondo is going to approach a pole vault ceiling at some point, and then I just don't know where if you can ever go beyond. I don't know what that ceiling is. Is the ceiling? I don't know where the ceiling is going to be. Right? To be honest with you, is it 30? Can someone go 6 meters 30? So that's the kind of question you got to ask, right? At some point, you get that ceilings in world records. I don't know if the ceiling for the 100-meter record is there, but we'll see. What's going on, Lorna? RERDD, again with your nonsense. 21 is near. Okay. Oh, I guess you guys are getting back to this 200-meter thing, Elaine versus Shericka. Okay. Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe. It's good to see some familiar faces and people here on the channel, and a lot of good stuff. Let's get to Stephen Gardner. Reason why I've been saying this for some weeks. I mean, we saw Stephen Gardner today, running a 44.50. Looked really good, I thought, over for good 300 meters. The thing that I'm not seeing with Stephen that he normally has is that he's not pulling away in the last 100 meters. And that could be a result of just the injuries that have beset him the last couple of years. I was hoping at this point I could declare him the Olympic champion already, because that's how I want to do it. I want to have some easy choices, but I just don't know. I just don't know where the direction of that medal will be, and I'll talk about it in a second more. But it was a good race. Great closing there by Sean Bailey, running a season best of 44.64. So he's kind of rounding into some decent shape as well. And the last time I remember seeing Steven was maybe at Golden Spikes. I think he ran at the Golden Spikes there in Croatia, and was it Doom ran him down, and he did win, obviously, but they're closing on him in ways that I don't know if we've seen recently, and I'm a bit worried that maybe he's not going to be in the form of his life by the time we get to the Olympics. I mean, it's also intriguing that no one is actually running any kind of super times yet. We haven't really seen people doing any sub 44s. It's a kind of an interesting year, a strange year for 400 meters. I mean, in the end, he's still won, you could say, comfortably in 44.50, but he's not pulling away. And I think he looks healthy. I will say that, which is great because he hasn't been for the last few years. But there's still some things that he needs to work on. I don't know if he's as strong as he was before, and I still think he runs an amazing 300. But he needs to probably separate, a little bit more. I don't know if he'll get to do that by the time we get to the Olympics. But I was hoping if he had dropped like a sub 44, then I'd say, well, I think the gold medal is there. I still don't know the direction of the 400-meter gold medal for men. I think it's really wide open. Probably, the women, not so much for me. I think Paulina should win it. Although NASA just dropped another sub 50 there, but we can get into that too. But yeah, Gardner still has a little bit of time before we get to the Olympics, but he's definitely not back to where he was yet. He's not back to the Stephen Gardner we know, and I hope he get back to that kind of shape, because I would love for him to win the gold medal. I mean, it would cement him as one of the all-time greats were he to do that. So I mean, I think he's in the mix, but that would be really good there. Where are we? Okay, you guys talking about the mechanics of the race. Is Steven better than Wade? I mean, there was a moment where Wade did some things that we've never seen. There in a 2-year period, Wade, I guess 16, 17, Wade was unbelievable. I mean, the injury really put him back somewhat. I don't know if we'll ever see a Wade Van Niekerk anywhere close to what we saw before. It's a tough uh it's a tough sport. It's one of the hardest events in track and field. Can he come back to anywhere close to that? I would love to see him do sub 44s again, but I don't know. The injuries really put him in an interesting position. Last year, it looked like he was coming into good form, and it never really happened the way you anticipated. Let's see if he turns up at the Olympics in any kind of shape. But to stay in this sport and to run 400s for a very long time is not easy. I mean, you have to give it up to the likes of Karani. Karani has been around for such a long time and still plying his trade, and also he's gone through a lot. He's had illness, he's lost his coach, that kind of stuff, and he still gets up and and runs. When in all honesty, if he had retired, we would just pat him on the back and thank him for the amazing kind of performances he's delivered. And for him to still be carrying on is also special. So it's not easy to stay that long and deliver. But I don't know. I don't know if we'll get Wade Van Niekerk back to where we would love him to be. I don't think he can get back to world record shape. Those days are gone. I think for him is to see if he can he run a 40, 43.9, 43.8. That would be amazing, obviously, but I don't know. I think the 400 meters is interesting. It's possible that the 400 meters at the Olympics could be won and no one goes sub 44. It is possible. I mean, last year the World Championships Watson won it, and uh, we didn't get a sub 44. NASA, yeah, NASA is moving into shape. She looked really good. She ran really fast a few days ago. Over the first three kind of faded, couldn't keep up. Again, she looked good today. Where was it? In Spain, I think. I saw the race not too long before I came live. I'm not seeing enough from her or anybody to say that they can beat Paulino. I think Paulino will win. That's where I'm going. I think she ran at, if you're talking about NASA, she ran in I think she did a race in Malaga or so, I believe. I just watched the race before I came on. I have to check it again, to be honest with you. But it might be somewhere in Spain. I can ask my producer to look for it. But what am I gonna say? I still think Paulina would win the 400 meters. I think Rashidat Adolike has something to say about this as well. They're to be in the mix. I think the 400 meters is kind of an interesting space. I I still don't know where those all the medals will go. It's unfortunate Shawnee won't be in the kind of shape to be at the Olympics, but I also think you can't count out the likes of Nikisha Price. Maybe if she can come back after that long collegiate and very successful collegiate season, she could find her way in the mix. Kazmarek is really special, I think, as well. She could force her way around there. So the 400 meters, interesting stuff, right? I mean, there's a number of other women coming to, even Amber Anning from Great Britain, who part of that Razorback team there, should be in the mix too. Uh, I don't know if Alexis Holmes will do something otherwise. Can you ever count out a Williams from Barbados? She can find a way to, but all of these things will be unfolded in another couple of weeks, right? But for my money, it's still Paulina, and I think the other places are up for grabs there. But I believe if you really want to get on the medal podium for women's 400 meters, you need to find yourself in a 48, mid 48 shape, mid to low 48 shape. That will guarantee you on the podium. And I think going into the Olympics, it's going to be a bunch of women who will try to go sub 49 for sure. So it will be a cracker of a race. Let's see. Paulino will win for sure. No, I'm not saying Jamaica doesn't have any chance in the. You mean in the 400 meters for women? No, I think Nikisha Price has a mix to get in the medals. I don't think anybody will beat Paulina. That's just where I am right now. I could, they have to run the race, but yeah. Yeah, Orgo, Sada, and Williams need to work on the last 100. I think she will come to the world champion to the Olympics in great shape. She's prepared by Francis. She finds her way. I'm not worried about her coming to the championships. Also, we think about her preparation didn't look the same way as everybody else. Also, because there's nobody. She makes the Barbados team with her eyes closed. There's no competition, right? So I think she's fine. I will see. RDD Sydney may have a chance. Yeah, I think if Sydney ran a flat 400 this year, she probably would go as favorites for the gold medal. Right now, Sydney is in a super special place. It's unbelievable. I mean, she might break the world record again, having just done it again recently over 400-meter hurdles. We may end up seeing someone running 51 flat, or even trying to go sub 51 and not win, right? Because I think Femke potentially could run sub 51, and I just don't know uh, what will happen. But she might still finish a half a second behind Sydney McLaughlin. It's going to be crazy. You want to talk about the US relay pool? Which one? The 4x4, the four. I need to look back on that, to be honest with you. I didn't do all my homework on it. I looked at the team briefly, but I didn't if I can get a link to it again, I could look at it. I could ask my producer to see if he can get me a US. The US released that stuff today. I have to look at it again. Let's see. The 4x1 for. I don't have it right now. I need to find it again, to be honest with you. I may have to do that on another day, to be honest with you. Yeah, because I didn't study all of that at the moment, but I may have to. Let me see what I can do. So I want to see the pool again for the 4x1. I saw it earlier today, but so the pool for the so they'll have This what 4x4 pool. I'm trying to find a 4x1 pool. It's not immediately clear to me. Obviously, we know that's going to be Richardson, Jefferson, and TT Terry. But the rest of the pool, I don't know. And also, one of the interesting things going into Paris is that all these relay teams have been now downgraded to 5 as opposed to 6. I could have told people this was coming because there's not a lot of space in Paris for Olympic Village. So there's going to be a village in Saint Denis because that's where Stade de France is for track and field. But there's going to also be village in near central Paris as well for other sports. And in Paris, there's only 2 permanent structures that they built. You know, the new aquatic center, which is amazing, and what's that other facility? I'm forgetting now. And so they're trying to sell you on this green Olympics, and they're trying to sell you on a number of things on doing a lot of makeshift stuff. And yeah, I saw this coming already because there's no space there. But I'll tell you what, Shamara, I'll do some stuff on that in on the next live. I'll prepare for that. But as it stands now, I haven't gotten a chance to really kind of think through it. Unless you want to throw up something about it that you didn't like or you like, I could respond to it. But all these teams are coming in the last couple of days, and I just haven't sat down to kind of soak that in. I saw the relay pool for the men. Obviously, you got like Christian Coleman. I think Coleman will start that relay for sure. You have the likes of a Courtney Lindsay obviously in the mix too, and then the 3 guys that's running the flat 100 meters will come in the mix at some point. I suspect Noah won't run the heats because of how the schedule might look. I think that's what we'll get there. And for the women, I think it's probably we're thinking obviously they have Leah Hobbs in the mix as well. So Tamari Davis, and they'll work those things out around. I mean, I guess Shakari will run heats obviously because she's not running 200 meters all these women can actually run the heats of the 100 meters for US 4x1 because they're not running 200 meters. So yeah. All right, yeah. So I'll be back tomorrow again for us a little bit of cricket too, and then on Monica we'll do watch along, and maybe if we have time we'll also do a reaction. I want to go back to Paris again quickly because I was here for the Paris Diamond League, and we did a watch along, and it's always good. I like to watch along, and we can chat and talk and so on. But I want to again talk about what we saw in Paris and I just want to highlight a couple the 3 big events for me. And I want to talk about faith again. I always say, like, in faith, Kipiegan, we trust, that kind of cliche. But I just don't understand. I understand the era we're living in, but we have to appreciate what Faith Kipiegan is doing because she started off with that impressive 3:53.98 in Kenya in altitude. So when that happened, we knew she was on course to do something ridiculous. But she went out and she gave us a 3:49.04 world record. Last year, obviously, she broke the world record. And so to say that we're surprised that Faith Kipiegan broke the world record, no. But the fact that she's just running this so comfortably is another thing. And I don't think she went out there to break the world record or to run that hard. It's really interesting. And I think the takeaway from that race for me when I was watching it too was just the bravery of the Australian Jessica Hull, because she was trying to keep up with Faith, and you could see throughout most of the race how she was checking there and wondering why someone was coming with her, and obviously paid off for Jessica because she did a national record, an era record of 3:50.83, and that was one of the most amazing 1500 meters you'll ever see in your lifetime, because all of these women were 12 of the 13 women who completed the race deliver some form of a personal best national record, and it kind of speaks volumes to where we are in the 1500 meters. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get another world record. Fate was so close to a sub 349. At this stage, I don't know where the ceiling is for women's 1500. I've said it before, and I mean, the science backs it up that a lot of the women's records will continue to be improved, especially the distance ones, because of the timing in which women started to do a lot of sports and their introduction to distance running, and the kind of structural inequities that were there too. But we can talk about that another day. I've talked about that before. So that was really, really a big time race, and I think that sets us up neatly for the Olympics. 1500 meters. Who knows? I mean, it's gonna be mad, mad, mad out there. Let me get back to a couple comments. Let me see. Will you be live on watch? Yeah, I'll be doing. Yeah, I'm gonna do a lot of live watch along for Paris. I know I won't be going to Paris. I just couldn't do it this time, but I'll be around. I'll be doing a lot of watch alongs. Then I'll come back and do some review shows in the night. Get all of you guys here. So don't, this is the place for you if you want to interact and talk and make sure you get your stuff on. Once it's good to go, I'll do it. So the best thing you can do is to subscribe. I know most of you have done that, but if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell, and that way when we come live, when we drop videos and so on. Next thing, let's stay on the track a little bit before I get to the high jump. I want to talk again about the 800 meters because that was the real big opener for us in the Paris Grand Prix that I thought was the greatest thing. But then fate decided to tell us something else over 1500 meters. But the men's 800 meters at the Diamond League was an absolute stunner. And it featured two of the top class athletes here, right? So we knew coming in that Emmanuel Wanyoni would have been special because Wanyoni delivered a ridiculous 141.70 in altitude in Kenya. And if you play around with the numbers, many accounts suggest that Wanyoni's adjusted time could be quite possibly better than the world record David Rudisha ran all the way back at the London Olympics. It's not here or there. That's not how the sport works. But you kind of look at it and you say, that's crazy. And then obviously Sedrati was having such a great season as well. But you wouldn't have come into this race thinking that it would be anybody but Wanyoni. And this was the race of a lifetime, and it's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And the funny thing is that Wanyoni, he didn't win. And Sedrati did in a new world leading time. So you're getting guys running a 141.56, and then Wanyoni ran a 141.58, which was marginal victory there, but also tactical awareness by Sedrati not to allow Wanyoni to come back in from the inside lane. And then even the guy from France, Toul, running a 141. So three men running a 141 is ridiculous in every level. Ridiculous. We have to think through that kind of stuff. And it's the slowest time in the race was 144. And we just at a time in track and field, like, you must appreciate this. I know some people don't like the distance running, they don't want to talk about it, but you have to really get into that. And what's significant to me too for Sedrati is the fact that he lowered his PB from he had a 143 to jump all the way to 141 56, and that is really special. And given what we've seen, I think these are the two obviously guys who are favorite for the Olympics, Wanyoni and Sedrati. But it's not going to be easy because we haven't seen the best of a Marco Arop yet, the world champion. It's really possible that David Rudisha's record could go this year. And when we saw Rudisha's record some years ago, we thought this was one of those untouchable records there because he had broken a long-standing record from Wilson Kipketer. And I mean, to get to this point now is really special. And the big thing of all of them is that Wanyoni is only 20 years old and his best years are ahead of him. And so the men's 800 meters is starting to hot up in some really, really interesting ways. And I'm happy about that. Last thing I want to touch on from Paris again, even though we did a watch along on it, I just want to make sure we kind of highlight this again, is that we must really think about the great achievement of Yaroslav Manuchik, because that world record is outstanding. Yeah, you know, Yaroslav is breaking a 37-year-old world record from Stefka Kostadinova, who the Bulgarian athlete who did that all the way back in 1987 in Rome. And it's a big time record. And, the Bulgarian had a really great career. She had lots of titles. I believe she won it. Yeah, she won in 96 in Atlanta. I think I have to check on that again. But if my memory serves me correctly, she did win that. And it stood for a very long time. It's a hard record to beat. We've had some great high jumpers that have come that tried to get close to it, and we haven't seen it. The closest anybody ever gotten to that world record was Blanka Vlasic, who was one of the all-time greats for me as well. She came close to it, and that was, I think, in indoors. And so Yaroslav getting to that moment of breaking the world record before the Olympics is truly amazing. I think it's something that, it was a top class field. We got Ollie Slagers was in it. There was Topic, Patterson, a bunch of good people. Diston was in it too. But, she stood above the rest. And Manuchik now is on course for me to win the Olympics. She knows what it's like to be at an Olympics and to find her way in. I think she had a medal there the last time. But she needs to start racking up those Olympic titles to go down as one of the all-time greats. But certainly she now has the world record, and that's a remarkable achievement. And it's hard world record. It's a record from the 80s, and I'm not caught. I think we don't appreciate the way it's hard to really sell how great of an achievement that is, but it is something. And finally someone surpassed this. We thought Vlasic should have done this. She had done a 2:0. I think Vlasic did a 2:08 in 09, and I think that was indoors. But now for someone to actually break the 2:09 record and go to 2:10, it's really good. And there's a bunch of really great high jumpers around that should look and try to improve upon that. Yeah. I don't think she's really injured. I don't know. All I've heard is that it's like a cramp. I think we had an injury poll before we found out about the cramp, but it might be a cramp according to what we're hearing right now. I hope so. I mean, I don't know what the scans look like. I suspect they'll do scans or they've already done the scans. But it didn't look like a serious hamstring injury. Definitely wasn't a grade 3, because she would have been crying and needed assistance off the track. And it was just hard to it's hard to see that happen this close to the Olympics. But if it's just a cramp, then they move on and they'll get things going, and hopefully she'll be fine and fit and ready to try and win the Olympic gold medal. And I think she wants to win both, so we'll see. All right, guys, it's really good hanging out with you tonight. I'm gonna call it, because there's a lot more track we could talk about, but we're not getting any more comments really about that kind of stuff. But I touched on the stuff that I wanted to touch on. Really impressed by Kishane Thompson today. I think I want to go to a limb and say that he'll probably win the gold medal in Paris. It would be great to see if Oblique Seville can be in the mix too. I feel like 2 Jamaicans can be on the podium, 1-2 or 1-3, somewhere there. Not happy to see Shericka not finish the race, but as long as it's not something serious that will set her back, we'll take that. Good to see Tina Clayton on the circuit trying to run down the American there. I think she will do well as well. And things are getting nice. We're gonna see some really fabulous stuff coming up in another few days in Monaco, then London, final Diamond League before we get to the Olympics. You should check out the schedule for everything that's going to happen, but I'm really, really excited to see the men's 400-meter hurdles, because you'll see Rai Benjamin, you'll see Alison Dos Santos, and you'll also see Carson Varham. The 3 fastest men of all time are lining up in the 400-meter hurdles. There's also Malik James King, who's out having a breakout year as well. Caleb Dean in the mix too. It's going to be really, really good stuff there in Monaco. You imagine the amount of money that they have to drop in order to get all of these guys to show up, and they're not hiding from each other. It should be fire. I think the women's 100 meters is going to look good as well. There will be Asha Smith will be there, Alfred, you know, Mari Jose Talu. Uh, yeah, it's going to be exciting. I think 200 meters should be good too. I think Noah Lyles will be there along with Letsili Tabogo. So stick around for that. I'll be doing a watch along, and then maybe we'll do a little bit of a thing afterwards. I'm not quite sure when that thing is competing. I haven't checked, to be honest with you. Yeah, but I'll be doing a watch along for that tomorrow. I'll come on and do a little bit of cricket. Yeah, hopefully I'm watching a lot of sports today. Saw a really great Spain team kick the French out of the European Championships. Lamine Yamal, look at that kid, is just amazing. 16 years old. So, age is not an important issue in sports. It's just whether you're ready. And so we'll see, and we'll see a lot of surprises coming forward. Thanks everybody for joining me. I'm going to call it for tonight. Hopefully you stay healthy and well, and I'll see you on the channel tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week. Bye bye.